Welcome to today's deep dive. We're taking you on an analysis of the economies of Russia and China using the absolute latest information available right now in mid-July 2026.
Yeah, we're basically peeling back the official numbers to reveal how both of these nations are, well, how they're prioritizing state ambitions over their own citizens' well-being.
Right, and that's really the narrative hook for today. I mean,
Yeah,
both countries look incredibly formidable on paper, you know,
yeah.
but the data suggests they're actually cannibalizing their own domestic futures just to fund their current geopolitical goals.
Exactly. The official numbers are totally designed to project strength.
Right.
But when we look at the underlying reports, we see this deliberate trade-off.
Sacrificing the consumer.
Yeah, sacrificing long-term consumer stability to fund immediate goals.
Okay, so let's unpack this, starting with Russia. The sources detail this shift from what was a resilient wartime economy to a severely constrained one. Like, GDP growth was 4.9% in 2024, but the projected growth for 2026 has plummeted to just 0.4%.
It's a massive drop.
It is. But I'm trying to square that drop with their official unemployment rate, which is sitting at, like, 2%. Usually, rock-bottom unemployment means a booming economy, right?
Well, under normal circumstances, yeah. But what's fascinating here is that this 2% actually masks a severe labor shortage.
Oh, right, because of the war.
Exactly. Hundreds of thousands of workers have been mobilized, or they've emigrated, or just shifted entirely into defense production.
Wow.
So civilian businesses are fighting over this shrinking pool of available workers. And to get them, they're forced to hike wages.
Which means they have to raise prices to cover the wages.
Precisely.
Which explains the inflation discrepancy in the reports. The official rate is 6%, but when surveyed, Russian households report feeling inflation at a really painful 12.4%.
Yeah, that cost-push dynamic is why people are facing real pain at the grocery store. I mean, they're even dealing with domestic fuel shortages now.
Wait, fuel shortages in Russia?
I know, it's incredibly counterintuitive for one of the world's major energy producers. But to cover the massive spending deficit required by the state, the Kremlin is rapidly draining the National Wealth Fund.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Our sources use this great analogy for their macroeconomic policy. It's like burning your own living room furniture to keep the house warm.
That is the perfect way to look at it.
Right. Like it sustains a raging fire today, but you're literally destroying the house for tomorrow.
Yeah, and the external pressure accelerating that burn is tightening too. Take the July 13th, 2026 EU and UK sanctions.
The ones that just dropped.
Right. They didn't just hit broad sectors.
Yeah.
They specifically targeted Russia's cyber and information warfare capability.
Meaning groups like the GRU and Rybar LLC.
Exactly. And on top of that, there's the looming threat of U.S. secondary sanctions, meaning the U.S. could penalize any third-party country just for buying Russian energy.
So that threat of secondary sanctions is actually a fascinating lens through which to view China, because revised U.S. legislation is proposing up to 100% tariffs on countries like China if they buy Russian energy.
Right.
But internally, China's situation reads more like a structural slow burn compared to Russia's immediate wartime fire, though both governments are essentially starving their consumers to feed the state machine.
Yeah, the data absolutely reflects that structural crisis. China reported a Q2 2026 GDP growth of just 4.3%.
And their exports surged 27% in June, right?
Yep, heavily driven by tech and AI manufacturing. Yet retail sales barely moved at 1.0%.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if they are exporting so much advanced tech and EV batteries, why are their own citizens refusing to spend?
It's a great question.
I mean, it sounds like a shiny sports car with a failing engine.
That's because of a massive structural imbalance.
Mhm.
Think of it like building a state-of-the-art factory that produces millions of goods, but you completely forget to build roads for your own workers to access the marketplace.
Oh, wow.
The state and local governments control the vast majority of the wealth, investing heavily in supply. But those local governments are drowning in hidden debt from years of overbuilding infrastructure.
So they can't afford to fund social safety nets, like healthcare or pensions.
Exactly. So households are forced to hoard cash out of sheer self-preservation.
Especially since their primary source of wealth, which is real estate, is crashing. I mean, the sources show property investment dropped 18% in the first half of the year.
Yeah. When your life savings are tied up in a failing housing market and youth unemployment for 16 to 24-year-olds hits 15.6% like it did in May, You don't spend. You just save out of anxiety.
So what does this all mean for you listening?
Hmm.
Neither economy is collapsing tomorrow. They both have immense financial buffers. But the data highlights a deliberate system that suppresses broad-based prosperity to fund state control and military ambition.
It's an economic model that literally treats the wealth of its own citizens as an acceptable casualty for global power.
Which leaves you with a really profound question to mull over. If these top-down systems require starving the consumer to feed the state machine, what happens to their internal stability when an entire generation realizes they will simply never be as wealthy as their parents?